for February 16th, 2021 at 1 p.m. This meeting, including the audio and video of remote participants, is being streamed on YouTube. You can find links to viewing options for all Senate meetings on the live and on-demand video page of the legislature's website. This Zoom meeting and your YouTube live stream event will include the following agenda, which is for Tuesday, February 16th, 1 o'clock, and following a subsequent one, again, for Tuesday, February 16th at the 1:30 agenda. In the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to major technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business p.m. via Zoom. For the people participating remotely, and audio will be muted and video disabled until shortly before it is your turn to testify. And the time limit per testifier, because we have about quite a number of items on this agenda, will be a minute. And for those who have sent in testimony, I'll be reading a list of people who submitted in written testimony for each measure. We apologize if the closed captioning doesn't accurately transcribe the names. If you're interested in reviewing the written testimony, please go to the legislature website. You'll find a link on the status page for the measures. Anyway, then it's your turn to testify. We may need to move on to the next person because time constraints, and if there's time, we'll come back again. Just remember that the committee does have your written testimony. Okay. So, beginning with Senate Bill 149. What's that? Oh, Senate Bill 149. Relating to property forfeiture, restricts assets forfeiture for cases involving the commission of a covered criminal misdemeanor or felony offense, requires seized property to be forfeited only when the property owner has been convicted of an underlying covered criminal misdemeanor or felony offense, change the standard of proof for the state to meet in order for property to be forfeited from preponderance of the evidence to beyond a reasonable doubt, requires the state to prove that the owners consented to or possess knowledge of the crime that led to the seizure of their property, requires that the agency seizing the property pay for safe and secure storage of the seized property until the completion of the forfeiture proceedings or final disposition of the property, directs any proceeds from a civil forfeiture to the general revenue fund for public education purposes, and repeals administrative forfeiture proceedings. So the first testifier we have Mr. William Bento for the Public Defender's Office.
Thank you, Senator Nishihara. We will rest on our written testimony at this time. Thank you.
Right, in support, right?
Yes, in support.
Okay, and next we have Superintendent of Education, Christina Kishimoto.
Good afternoon, Chair Nishihara, Vice Chair English, and committee members. Brian Hallett, DOE CFO, testifying on behalf of Superintendent Kishimoto. The department stands on its written testimony with comments. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Max Otani, Director for PSM.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. The department would stand on their written testimony. I also have Deputy Director of Law Enforcement, Jordan Lowe, here for any questions you may have. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Chairman, can I ask testifiers, when they say they stand on testimony, can they also say in support or opposition or comments?
Sure. Ours is comments that we provided, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Just so that we know, because you could be opposing and you say you stand on your written testimony. So that's for all the testifiers. Thank you.
Good point. Thank you. Gary Sinaga, Michael Vincent, Steve Bumanlag for the Attorney General's office.
Good afternoon, Chairman Ishihara, members of the committee. My name is Gary Sinaga, Deputy Attorney General, here to testify on behalf of the department. We have submitted written testimony, and I strongly recommend you read it if you haven't. It summarizes the department's position quite well, I think. The department opposes the bill basically because we feel the program is a good program. It serves important public policies of crime fighting, deterring criminals from committing crimes, and thereby protecting the public. We believe there is no abuse of the program. There really is no government theft. There are safeguards built into the law, and definitely there's nothing like the horror stories you hear of overreach and abuse that comes out in these studies down on the mainland. The overhaul to the program as proposed in the bill could end the program, definitely make it more difficult for law enforcement to fulfill these important policies. Thank you for the opportunity to testify.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Philip Johnson, the major from narcotics and vice for HPD. Is Adrian? Okay, then we move on to Mandy Fernandez, Policy Director for the ACLU.
Hi, Chair. Mandy's not on the call.
Okay. Kat Brady. Well, I don't know what happened to Kat. We were speaking earlier.
All right. I'm still getting used to this. Aloha, Senator Nishihara, Vice Chair English, and members of the committee. Kat Brady testifying in support of this measure for Community Alliance on Prisons. As you know, there have been many, many reports over the years from 2010, 2015, and 2020 where Hawaii has earned a D- for their forfeiture program. There's a new study that just came out in 2020, at the end of 2020, and it's entitled, Does Forfeiture Work? And actually, Dr. Kelly, who's from the University of Seattle, asserts that the most effective reform that we could do on forfeiture is to decouple the profits from seizing property, decouple that from the agency that actually does the seizing. So we support this measure. Thank you so much for this opportunity to testify.
Okay. And on the following send-in testimony, so they won't be on. Yeah. No, I skipped them all. Oh, Nicholas Leverance, sorry, Board President for Drug Policy. Nicholas.
Good afternoon, Chair Nishihara, Vice Chair English, and members. My name is Nicholas Leverance on behalf of the Drug Policy Alliance. We stand in support of this measure. The legislature is well aware that Hawaii's civil asset forfeiture system is broken and is in need of repair. And I would like to underscore the comments of the first two directors of the Justice Department's Asset Forfeiture Office, Brad Cates and John Yoder, who say that valid time-tested methods exist to allow law enforcement to seize contraband, profits, and instrumentalities via legitimate criminal prosecution. The current system is too opaque. It erects too many barriers to people recovering their property. So it's time for the legislature to act this year again to defend innocent property owners. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I know. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs sent in comments. Their comments were concerns about the large amounts of Native Americans, Native Hawaiians actually being swept up in this. Trisha Nakamatsu, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney. in opposition.
Chair, oh, my video is not.
Are you there?
I am here. Okay. Okay, I think.
Okay, we see you now, Tricia.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Deputy Prosecutor Tricia Nakamatsu, appearing on behalf of Honolulu Prosecuting Attorney's Office. We are opposed to this bill. And I know you have your written testimony before you. Just wanted to highlight two things. First is that we feel that there really needs to be emphasized that there are two tracks for our legal system. It's civil and criminal, and those run in parallel in many, many instances, not just in civil asset forfeiture, but any type of civil lawsuit that you can imagine sometimes will have a criminal case that is running in parallel. While it may seem unusual that our office in this case is handling the civil asset forfeiture as well as a criminal case when the criminal charges are put forth, there is a China wall. They're not allowed to speak to each other. They don't interact. The civil asset forfeiture deputy handles it as a civil case, which is why the civil standard of proof makes sense. Just like civil standard of proof, preponderance of the evidence is used in the majority of civil cases that we are aware of. Civil courts, the boards and commissions, a lot of them take away people's property. They impose fines, land matters based on preponderance of the evidence standards. So we don't feel that there's anything wrong with having that preponderance standard for the civil portion of things. One final note is that we don't feel that the funds should all go to general funds, but if that is the legislature's purview, we would ask that something be carved out so that at least our admin costs could be covered as well, because that would have to be written into the statute. It's not currently there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Tricia. I see that we have Philip Johnson. When I called you earlier, you weren't on. Are you there now?
I apologize, Chair. My sound wasn't working. I didn't hear you call me. Major Philip Johnson for the Honolulu Police Department, in opposition, and I'll stand on my written unless you have any questions for me.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Sandy Ma, Common Cause, Hawaii. In support, Bill Carone, Board President for Young Progressives, demanding action, sent in comments. Barbara Polk, in support. Lynn Matuso, in support. Brian Isaacson, in support. Cheryl Silva, opposed. Elena Funakoshi, support. Wendy Gibson, support. Don Viviani, in support. Thaddeus Pham, in support. Raylin Reno Yeomans, in support. I think that any others that I have not. Otherwise, we're going to move on to the next one. You may committee members, we're going to go through the whole agenda and then we'll come back and we'll break for the discussions later. Okay. Okay, next we're dealing with Senate Bill 513, and it is relating to the enforcement of laws, increases the fireworks display permit fee from $110 to $150, and the fine for certain fireworks violations from $2,000 to $5,000 per violation. Clarifies that each aerial device display a firework or article pyrotechnic having a total weight of 25 pounds or less that is illegally imported, transferred, or sold constitute a separate violation. Increases the penalty for removing and extracting pyrotechnic contents. I guess if you try to take it out and make a bomb out of it, I guess. Requires the Attorney General to establish an explosion detection technology working group. It requires the Department of Public Safety to develop and implement a web-based fireworks reporting tool, and authorizes the Sheriff's Department to enforce the fireworks control law and appropriates funds. So on the first one, 513, Senate bill. We have Max Otani for PSD.
Hey, good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members, Max Otani, Director, Department of Public Safety. The department would stand on our comments, our written comments. We also like to note that we gave an approximate value of what it would cost per year to run this, this program, and approximate costs to set up the database. If you have any questions, Deputy Director Jordan Lowe is here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Council in support. Lynn Matuso in support. Gerald Silva opposed. And that brings us to the end of that particular list of testifiers. Okay, in that case, we'll move on to Senate Bill 758 relating to marijuana. Oh, okay. Maybe I'll just read what it says. It increases from 3 grams to 1 ounce the maximum amount of marijuana before they can charge with a misdemeanor. Anyway, on that particular bill, we have William Bento for the Public Defender's Office.
Thank you, Chair. We will rest on our written testimony in support of the measure. Thank you.
Okay. Philip Johnson, major in narcotics.
Yes, Chair, thank you. Again, in opposition, and I'll rest on my written. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mark Tom, prosecuting attorney for Lulu.
Chair, members of the committee, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Mark Tom for the Department of the Prosecuting Attorney's Office. It looks like my video, it's not starting, so I apologize for that. Department stands in opposition to Senate Bill 758. Generally, Chair, the department believes this measure is premature at this time. Part of Act 273 of the 2019 legislature created a marijuana evaluation task force. Part of their duties was to evaluate marijuana use penalties and outcomes in the state. Due to COVID, that task force was not able to complete their report before the legislative session. The legislature believed that the report was at least important enough to introduce Senate Bill 1010, which extended the length of time to complete this task force report. The department believes that waiting for the completion of the report would be prudent at this time and stands in opposition to Senate Bill 758. Thank you.
Leverance, Drug Policy Forum.
Good afternoon, Chair Nishihara, Vice Chair English, and members. Nikos Leverance with the Drug Policy Forum of Hawaii. We stand in strong support of this. We believe that decriminalization should extend up to 1 ounce, and we would also recommend that the fine be lowered from its current level of $130. Virginia, for example, has a fine with a maximum of $25. The evidence is already out there. Cannabis possession enforcement disproportionately impacts Native Hawaiian and Filipinx communities. And using the UCR data provided by the State Attorney General's Office, we have over 1,000 misdemeanor cannabis arrests per year. And if they're convicted of that misdemeanor offense, there are over 100 collateral consequences that come from that. So it's up to us up to your committee and to legislators to sort of utilize scarce law enforcement resources more wisely. And this is a good measure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. They sent testimony in support. Mark Santoki, Acting Deputy Chief Court Administrator for the Judiciary, sent in comments. Michelle Poo, Deputy Attorney General, opposed. Trivoli Faumu, For Maui Police Department, opposed. Justin Kohler. For Hawaii Office of the Prosecuting Attorney, in support. Michael Golohue for LGBT Caucus, Democratic Party, in support. Caulfield, Executive Director for Imua Alliance, in support. Mike Golohue Sr., in support. Wendy Gibson Viviani, in support. Don Viviani, in support. Eileen McKee, in support. And that takes us. Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 767, again related to cannabis. Legalizes the personal use, possession, sale of cannabis in a specified amount. And first testified, Office of the Public Defender, State of Hawaii.
Thank you, Chair. The Public Defender's Office is in strong support of this measure. We will rest on our written testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Isaac Choi for DOTAX.
Yes, Chair. Jonathan White on behalf of the Department of Tax. The department will stand on its written testimony, providing comments on the bill. Thank you.
Okay. Max Otani for PSD.
Good afternoon, Chair. Department of Public Safety would also stand on their comments regarding this bill.
Okay, thank you. Philip Johnson, Major Narcotics.
Yes, Chair, again, stand in opposition on our written testimony. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Justin Kolar, I'm taking it back. Let's do Tom Yamachika for Tax Foundation.
Hi, Chair. He's not on the call.
Okay, thank you. Richard Collins, Project Director for Hawaii Public Health Institute.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair and Vice Chair, Senator English, and members of the committee. My name is Richard Collins. I'm with Hawaii Public Health Institute, and Hawaii Public Health Institute is taking no position on the legalization of recreational cannabis. However, we do oppose Senate Bill 767 because of its lack of public health regulations needed to ensure that any legalization would create as safe as possible protections for our youth and community at large. And so at that, we stand on our testimony of opposition to this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Jacques. Excuse me. Did I pronounce his name? Excuse me. Are you there?
Yes. Good afternoon, Chair. My name is Greg Chapkus. I'm the Executive Director of the Coalition for Drug-Free Hawaii.
Thank you.
I'm opposed to Senate Bill 767. Right now in Hawaii, Department of Health AID funded treatment serves over 3,000 adolescents a year, which over 60% are diagnosed with cannabis use disorder. CERTA et al. In 2019 found a 25% increase in cannabis use disorder for 12 to 17-year-olds in legalized states. Studies in the medical journal, The Lancet, conclude that use of products with 15% THC or higher triples the risk of psychosis, and daily use quintuples that risk. Over 56 studies found similar findings. And impaired driving, even with Hawaii's medical marijuana, the THC positive fatalities nearly tripled in Hawaii from the 10 years previous to introduction of medical marijuana. Number of traffic fatalities with THC involved drivers rose from 55 to 115 deaths in Colorado, 18% increases. Multiple medical groups oppose medical or marijuana legalization, including the American Medical Association, American Academy of Pediatrics, and the American Society of Addiction Medicine calls for THC limits. I'm simply asking that we follow the science, rely on truth, and unite behind data-driven, rational decision-making.
Okay, thank you. Sorry to cut you off, but I think we got the gist of the testimony. Thank you. Okay, Michael Golohue Jr.
Good afternoon, Senators. Michael Golohue Jr., appearing in my own behalf. I stand in strong support of this bill, as we've seen from the states on the continent, that there there's a right way to do this, and if we can benefit, this will benefit society on multiple different levels, from the overcrowding of our prison systems, as well as the tax revenues, as well as decriminalizing an herb. So I hope that you will pass this bill out and make whatever amendments you do need to make it a better bill. We all know bills don't come in a perfect form when they're first introduced. So on that note, thank you for hearing the bill and look forward to you passing this out. Aloha.
Okay, thank you. Justin Kohler, Kauai, Office of Prosecuting Attorney, in support. Shivoli Paumu, Maui Police Department opposed. Bill Carone, Board President for Young Progressives, Demanding Action, in support. Chris Caulfield for Democratic Party of Hawaii Caucus, in support. Carly Wolf, State Policies Coordination for SNORML, in support. I guess Chris Caulfield also testified in More Alliance, also in support. Eva Andrade, Hawaii Family Forum opposed. Sherrick Dolak, HVISA opposed. Carol McNamee for MAD sent in comments. Joseph Brown III, support. Mike Golohue Sr. in support. John Bruce in support. That brings, there's more. Thomas Brandt in support. Phil Robertson in support. David Whitney in support. John Fitzpatrick in support. Peggy McArdle in support. Raylan Reno Yeomans in support. Jennifer Torres in support. Ramona Hussey in support. Dylan Ramos in support. Shiala Karate Humphreys in support. Jacqueline Kippard in support. Shannon Rudolph in support. Oliver Gaskell in support. Austin R. in support. Don Viviani in support. Wendy Gibson in support. And Alan Shin opposed. That brings us to the end of the list of testifiers and witnesses. Okay, we'll now move on to Senate Bill 818, related to vacant, abandoned residential property. Requires counties to establish expedited procedures to approve demolition permits for vacant, abandoned residential homes. And we have Isaac Choi, DOTAX.
Yes, Chair. On behalf of the Director of Tax, the department will stand on its written testimony, providing comments on the bill. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Curtis Lum, with Department of Planning and Permitting, sending comments. Tom Yamachika, Tax Foundation.
Hi, Chair. Tom's not on the call.
Okay, well, he sent in comments. So on that note, that brings us to the end of that, which brings us next to Senate Bill 1042, related to cover offender registration, repeals a provision that allows persons designated as covered offenders in a non-stated jurisdiction to petition the AG for termination of registration requirement upon demonstrating that the state conviction is not covered offenses by the state. It goes on to say certain long-term visitors to Hawaii out of state convictions to register. And how persons can be required to register and be petitioned to terminate registration. That bill, we have Amy Murakami, Deputy AG, in support. Are you there, Amy? No. Okay. Max Otani, Director for PSD.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair. Max Otani, Public Safety. Department supports this measure and asks for your passage.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Director. Greg Okamoto, Chief of Police for Maui, in support. And that brings down the list of the testifiers. Now we're on to the final bill, 1407, related to the State Building Code Council. We have Scott Glenn for Hawaii State Energy Office. To send in comments, Manuel Neves, State Fire Council is opposed. Stephanie Sakamoto for BIA in support. And this brings us to the last of the testifiers and witnesses for the bills. So this time, I'd like, if we can, you got any questions, members? I'll entertain the questions now before we go into deliberations. No questions, then can we go into the meeting room, waiting room, whatever you call it? Okay. The committee has confirmed and conferred, and for Senate Bill 149, we will pass it as is. Members, ready for the vote? Chair goes aye. Senator English? Senator English? You want to unmute yourself?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Senator Baker?
Aye.
Senator Revere?
Aye.
Senator Favela?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion is adopted. Thank you. Okay, Senate Bill 513 is to pass it as is. Chair goes aye. Senator English?
Aye.
Senator Baker?
Aye.
Senator Revere?
Aye.
Senator Favela?
Aye.
The motion is adopted. Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 758 is to pass it as is. Chair goes aye. Senator English?
Aye.
Senator Baker?
Aye.
Senator Revere?
Aye.
Senator Favela? Senator Favela, I think you're muted.
Sorry. Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 767. I'm going to pass it with amendments. And the amendments are the HPHA amendments require products to be contained in generic packaging that uses only black lettering, contains no colors, pictures, or cartoons or images that might appeal to children and youth. Prohibit cannabis advertising near youth-sensitive areas in the community, like parks, schools, recreational facilities, public transportation, bus stops, and the like, and prohibit flavored e-liquids and juices for vaporizing devices. We'll also take the Public Safety Department's amendments, specify where personal use of cannabis may not occur due to safety concerns or the threat of federal prosecution. And in the committee report, we'll say that DOTAX and HPHA concern that DOH, not DOTAX, should be the appropriate agency tasked with establishing rules and regulations, and HPH's concerns adopting certain regulations need to be addressed during the rulemaking process. So pass Senate Bill 767 with amendments. Chair goes aye. Senator English?
Aye.
Senator Baker?
Aye.
Senator Revere?
Reservations.
Okay. You, Senator Favela?
No.
Oh, okay. One no. Okay, the motion is adopted. Thank you. Now we move on to Senate Bill 818, recommendations to pass it as is. Chair goes aye. Senator English,
Aye.
Senator Baker,
Aye.
Senator Revere,
Aye.
Senator Vivella.
Aye.
Okay, motion's adopted. Thank you. And Senate Bill 1042 is to pass it with amendments, the SMA technical amendments. So to pass 1042 with amendments, chair goes aye. English, Senator English,
Aye.
Senator Baker,
Aye.
Senator Revere,
Aye.
Senator Vivella.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And our final item for this agenda, Senate Bill 1407 to pass it unamended. Chair goes aye. Senator English,
Aye.
Senator Baker,
Aye.
Senator Revere,
Aye.
Senator Vivella.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion's adopted. Thank you. Okay, that brings us to the end of the 1 o'clock agenda. We're now going to move directly into the 120 agenda, since it is now 1:40. And let's see. Just a second. Okay, this is the February 16th, 2021, 120 agenda. First item is Senate Bill 295 relating to firearms. Establishes the offense of loaded firearm while intoxicated as a petty misdemeanor. Oh, this is not the right one. Oh, let me see. Oh, yeah. Sorry. Okay. Here we go. We have Lee Hayakawa for the Office of Public Defender.
Hi, good afternoon, Chair Nishihara, Vice Chair English. My name is Lee Hayakawa. I am the Assistant Public Defender. The Office of the Public Defender respectfully opposes SB number 295. I am available for questions. We will be standing on our testimony. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Marcus Tanaka.
Hi, Senator. Marcus is not present.
Okay, and he's opposed. Now we had Bradford Davis, who sent in testimony opposing it. Trivoli Pa'amu, Maui Police Department opposed. Tricia Nakamatsu, prosecuting attorney for Honolulu, and in comments. Daniel Reed for the NRA, opposed. John Abbott, Director, Hawaii Firearms Coalition, opposed. Brian Isaacson, opposed. Gerard Silva, opposed. Austin White, opposed. Philip Raposa, opposed. Shyla Moon, opposed. Cheryl Tanaka, opposed. Benel Puros, opposed. Jacob Holcomb, opposed. Stephen Umasaka, opposed. Todd Yasutake, opposed. Ian Shields, also opposed. And that takes us to the end of that list of testifiers. So we'll move on to Senate Bill 414, appropriation to the Department of Prosecuting Attorney for the City and County of Honolulu. This gives funds to the prosecuting attorney of the city and the county as a grant in aid. Testifying Tricia Nakamatsu.
Just briefly, Chair, we wanted to thank Tricia Nakamatsu, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, Department of Prosecuting Attorney of the City and County of Honolulu. Thank you, Chair, so much for hearing the bill. You have our written testimony and will stand available for questions.
Thank you. Ellen Bartolome for Hawaii County Office of the Prosecuting Attorney. And it is in support. Philip Raposa in support. Any others? If not, we shall move on to the next agenda. Next bill, which is Senate Bill 417. Again, another appropriation bill for the prosecuting attorney of the city and county of Honolulu. The Victim Witness Assistance Program. Dasha Forrester, Public Defender.
I'm sorry, are we doing 417 or 622? I think I submitted testimony on 622.
You're right.
Okay, sorry.
Trisha Nakamatsu for 414.
And again, briefly, Chair, Deputy Prosecutor Trisha Nakamatsu on behalf of the Department of the Honolulu Prosecuting Attorney. Thank you so much for hearing the bill, Chair. We really appreciate it. These are much needed funds to aid in our assistance to victims and witnesses of crime. Otherwise, we'll stand on our written testimony available for questions.
Thank you. Ellen Bartolome for the County of Hawaii, Prosecuting Attorney. In support, Philip Raposa, also in support. And now that brings us to 417, which is the, what happened here? I thought I did that. No, I thought I called them out. Anyway, if I made a mistake, it's Senate Bill 417. It's funding for the Department of Prosecuting Attorney for the Victim Witness Assistance Program. Okay. And on that, we have Dennis Dunn for Department of the Attorney, Prosecuting Attorney. Dennis, are you there? Otherwise,
Mr. Dunn's not available. We will stand on our written testimony. Thank you.
okay, all right. He was in support. There are no other testimonies for that. Okay, well, the Senate Bill 622, restraining order violations, requires the court to sentence a person convicted of violating an injunction or restraining order or order of the protection during the term of stay-at-home order imposed by the state or county in which the violation occurred in a mandatory minimum jail sentence of not less than 30 days and fine not less than $5,000. And now we have Dasha Forrester, Office of the Public Defender.
Thank you. Aloha, Chair Nishimura, and members of the committee. My name is Darcia Forrester. I'm a Deputy Public Defender. The Office of the Public Defender strongly opposes this measure. We oppose this mandatory sentencing structure because it requires 30 days of mandatory jail and a fine of no less than $5,000. In other words, it starts at $5,000 for a misdemeanor, even if it's your first offense. We believe this measure fails to take into account the clear sentencing structure already codified to address these types of violations, including a defendant's record, if any, and other socioeconomic issues that may be part of a sentencing. The courts are free to look at all factors, the totality of the circumstances, even if it occurred during a pandemic or stay away order. That's definitely a factor the courts are allowed to include in their sentencing. But we do feel that this measure is excessive, and we are troubled by the trend to attach mandatory jail to misdemeanor offenses that fails to take into account individual sentencing and judicial discretion. Mahalo, and I'm available for questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Angelina Mercado, Executive Directive for Hawaii State Coalition Against Domestic Violence. Sent testimony in support. Philip Raposa in support as well. Okay, I don't see any other testifiers or witnesses that sent in testimony. So we'll move on to Senate Bill 529 related to law enforcement. Establishes the right of persons to record law enforcement activities and a private right of action for violations of that right. And we have James Tabe, Office of the Public Defender. James.
William Bagasol, Deputy Public Defender here on behalf of James Tabe. We rest on the written testimony and remain available for questions at the end if necessary.
Okay, thank you. We have Albert Cook, Deputy Attorney General. Send in comments. Mandy Fernandez for ACLU in support. William Caron for Young Progressives, demanding action in support. Ivana Loma in support. Philip Raposa in support. And I think that brings us to the end of those testifiers or witnesses. That brings us to the next bill, which is Senate Bill 765. 742, correction. 742. And this requires each county police department to collect certain data regarding police stops, uses of force, and arrests, and submit to legislature annual reports. And we have William Bergasol for the Office of the Public Defender.
William Bagasol on behalf of the Office of the Public Defender. Good afternoon, Senators. The Office of the Public Defender supports this measure, and we stand on our written testimony.
Thank you. Brian Black, Civil Beat.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. This is Brian Black, Executive Director of Civil Beat Law Center for the Public Interest. I'll stand on our support testimony and just note that there were just a few minor suggestions that could make this bill a little bit better. Thanks.
Thank you. Mandy Fernandez, ACLU.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Mandy Fernandez on behalf of the American Civil Liberties Union of Hawaii. We strongly support this measure, and we also support the amendments that have been put forward by Civil Beat Law Center. We're available for any questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Paul Ferreira, Police Chief for Hawaii Police Department. Opposed. Sterling Morita, Hawaii Chapter of Professional Journalists in support. Will Caron testifying for Young Progressives demanding action in support. Kat Brady in support. Raylan Reno Yeomans in support. Anna Ihara in support. Thaddeus Pham in support. Joseph Brown III in support. That takes us through the list of testifiers for that bill. On to 765, Senate Bill 765. Operating a vehicle under influence of an intoxicant defines highly intoxicated driver, provides evidentiary standard for establishing the person who's highly intoxicated driver, requires ignition locks, and so on. We have as testifier for Senate Bill 765, James Tabe, Office of the Public Defender.
William Bagasol, Deputy Public Defender, again, standing in for James Tabe, who is the author of the testimony. Just briefly, I'd like to just highlight a few things. We are in strong opposition Number one, because it unnecessarily restricts the discretion of the district courts in imposing sentences. They already looked at other types of factors such as BAC, the facts of the case, whether or not there was an accident, etc. Number two, there is a discrepancy. Not only is it unduly harsh, but there's also an inconsistency in the sentencing disposition in the felony statutes, because negligent homicide in the first degree, there is no mandatory 1 year, 8 months, and no mandatory fine. Number three, the provisions or the proposed provisions, because of the ignition interlock, the mandatory, making it mandatory, it imposes an undue disadvantage to, and is so unfair to the economically disadvantaged and to the poor. And likewise, the extension, the same argument applies to the extension of the revocation period, because it makes it very difficult for those who can't afford the ignition interlock to drive legally. And so all it does is just impose more fines and make it more difficult for the poor to actually drive legally. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Calvin Tong, Traffic Division for HPD.
Good afternoon, Chair. Major Calvin Tong with the Home Police Department. We stand in support of this bill.
Thank you. Carol McNamee, Public Policy Committee for MAD. Is Carol there? Otherwise, she sends in support.
No,
Carol?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, wait.
No, it's not your fault. It's my computer.
No, I don't know why it's not going up, but I don't know.
We can see it's not you.
Anyway,
it's on my side.
I'm still kind of new to this game. Sorry, but I do say good afternoon, Senator Nishihara and members of the committee, and I'm of course speaking for MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving Hawaii, and on behalf of MAD, we want you to know that we're in strong support of this bill. And that we're in support of all segments, because there are a number of different issues in this bill, but we are in support of all of them. And I just wanted to say that we need to realize that a 0.15 BAC, which is what initiates the stronger penalties, is currently almost twice the legal level that we have now of a 0.08. So this is someone who is very intoxicated, and most people could barely do anything at all, walk or whatever, much less safely drive. So we think it is appropriate, and actually this was part of the statutes. I think, I don't know, maybe just before we initiated the interlock program, but we've had it before. Most states have something like this, and we ask for your serious consideration and your passage of the bill.
Thank you, Carol. Okay, we have Rivoli Aumu, Maui Police Department support. Justin Kohler, Kauai Office of Prosecuting Attorney, also in support. Trisha Nakamatsu, Deputy Prosecuting Attorney, in support. Karen, you there?
I'm sorry,
Okay.
Deputy Prosecutor Trisha Nakamatsu, on behalf of the Honolulu Prosecuting Attorney's Department. Chair, just to let you know that we do support standing on our testimony in support of all parts of the bill, available for questions, if any.
Okay, thank you, Trisha.
Thank you.
Gary Benes, Strategic Highway Safety Plan, in support. Bill Casper for Malolo Charters, opposed. Philip Raposa, opposed. William Hankins, in support. I don't think that has any more others that are listed. which brings us to Senate Bill 1046. Law enforcement clarifies membership and certain powers and duties of the Law Enforcement Standards Board. We have Isaac Choi, Department of Tax.
Hello, Chair. Isaac Choi from Department of Taxation. I sit on this board and I strongly support this measure. I'll be available for any questions if you should have any. Thank you, Chair.
Good to see you, Isaac.
Thanks, Chair.
Lance Goto, Deputy Attorney General.
Good afternoon, Chair Nishihara, the members. Lance Goto for the department, which supports this measure. It is an important bill for the Law Enforcement Standards Board, which has some important responsibilities. Some of them establishing minimum standards for the employment as law enforcement officers, certifying persons qualified as law enforcement officers, enforcing the certification requirements, establishing minimum criminal justice curriculum requirements for the training of these officers. So they have some, the board has some very significant tasks. This bill is intended to help the board with more resources and giving it a little more time to accomplish these tasks. So the department respectfully requests the passage of this measure. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have Ian Garrod for DLNR. I think we have Mr. Redula.
Yes, good afternoon, Chair and committee members. Jason Redula, DLNR's Enforcement Chief for the department. We'll stand on our written testimony in support of this measure. Thank you.
Thank you. Max Otani, Director for PSD, sent in comments. Paul Ferreira, Police Chief for Hawaii, in support. William Caron for Young Progressives, opposed. Joseph Brown, also opposed. That brings us to the last measure we have on this agenda. And it is Senate Bill 1381, establishes a special intergovernmental task force to eradicate illegal gambling and drug activities. To establish community safe zones across the state. It requires a report to the legislature. So we don't have any Zoom. If there's any others that haven't, would like to speak on this particular agenda, this particular one, Senate Bill 1381. Otherwise, I'll go through the list that we do have. Landon Murata, Deputy Attorney General, sent in comments. Trivoli Faumu, Police Department, opposed. Robert Finley, Waikiki Neighborhood Board, in support. Eva Andrade, Hawaii Family Forum, in support. Alice Belanida, in support. Stephen Thomas, in support. Elizabeth Pavake, in support. Alex Cowie, in support. Rain Cowie, in support. Melvin Masuda, in support. And I think that pretty much brings us down to the number of testifiers on that. So members, unless you got any questions, we'll go into the break room. Okay, can we go to the break room?
Hi, Senator. We will now go into the recess rooms.
Okay, Senate Bill 295, we're going to defer that bill and moving on to Senate Bill 414. We're going to pass it as is. Chair goes aye. Members, Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Revere,
Aye.
Senator Rivera.
Aye.
Okay, motion's adopted. Thank you. Senate Bill 417, we're going to pass with amendments. And we're going to amend the date to July 1st, 2021, as suggested by SMA. So we're going to pass it with amendments. Chair goes aye. Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator Favela. Senator Favela.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Senate Bill 622, we're going to pass it as is. Chair goes aye. Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Spear.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Senate Bill 529. We're going to pass it with amendments. The Attorney General's amendment of changing the definition of law enforcement officer to any public servant, whether employed by the state or subdivisions thereof or by the United States, vested by law with a duty to maintain public order or to make arrests for offenses or to enforce the criminal laws, whether that duty extends to all offenses or is limited to a specific class of offenses as defined in section 510, 1000 HRS, and also technical amendments. Chair goes aye. Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Thank you. Adopted. Thank you. Right. Senate Bill 742, we're going to pass it as is. Chair goes aye. Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion's adopted. Okay. Senate Bill 765. We're going to pass it with amendments, SMA technical amendments. So pass it with amendments. Nishihara goes aye. Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion's adopted. Okay, thank you. Senate Bill 1046. We're going to pass it with technical amendments, SMA tech amendments. So Chair goes, Nishihara goes aye. Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion's adopted. All right, that brings us to the last item, Senate Bill 1381. And it's going to pass with amendments from the Attorney General that includes the words, activities of the task force shall include on page 3, lines 14 to 15. Should be amended to read, in fulfilling its duties under this subsection, the task force shall consider the resources and the legislative proposals to be necessary to accomplish this proposal. Okay, pass with amendments. Nishihara goes aye. Senator English.
Aye.
Senator Baker.
Aye.
Senator Revere.
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
Thank you, members. We have finished this agenda. Thank you very much. And this concludes the hearing. Okay. Thank you.